Okay, so the first one I'm going to cover is Kyo. So obviously, he is the main character of this game, obviously. So he's kind of got all the basic tools that you really want in a character, so to speak. But he is a primarily close range sort of mix-up character, I suppose you could say. So let's see. First, you have Far A, which obviously standard KOF anti-hop move. You can use it to poke, but you can crouch it. People can crouch it, so obviously it's not very helpful there. But it is a good anti-hop. Far B is actually a really good poke. As you can see, it hits crouchers and it's really fast, and it's very non-committal. The issue is it's not cancelable. Obviously, it's max cancelable, so you can do that if you have really good reactions, or you just like whiff punish with it. But it's a non-committal poke, which is very nice to have, and it has a lot of range, which a lot of Kyo's other moves don't have a lot of range, which is kind of an issue that I'll touch on later. And this is one of them with good range, so yeah. Unfortunately, it does really bad damage, but again, if you whiff cancel, if you are able to max cancel it, you can do that. Next. His Force C is interesting. It's new to this game, and a lot of people, like, originally when they saw this, thought it was a good whiff punishing tool, and it is, for the record, but it's a little slow. It's frame 10, and it does move him forward a fair amount, but it doesn't actually hit that far, in all honesty. Like you can see here, it doesn't hit. You primarily use it for whiff punishing, but it's a little bit short.
Stubby. It's a bit stubby.
Yeah, which is a little unfortunate, because you really want to use this because it's a long-range heavy that you can cancel. Like, well, that was the close C, but because you can cancel it, right? But unfortunately, it's not the best poke in my opinion, but it is good if you have really good reactions and you're able to whiff punish people for it. A new change this patch is it's no longer whiff cancelable. You can see I can't whiff cancel it, which is...
Yeah.
Some people don't like this change. I think the change is actually okay, because what it allows you to do is empty cancel freely. So you can see I'm just like mashing reverse DP kick, the EX version, and it won't come out unless it does that. So you can do that to catch people whiffing things. Like if you're not 100% confident in your whiff punishing reactions, and you just kind of you think you can whiff punish something, but you're not 100% sure, you know, you can try and just like mash the cancel into whatever cancel you want to go into. And if it hits, you get the cancel, and if it doesn't, you don't get anything. Obviously, that leaves you liable to be whiff punished yourself, but you know. From 4 range, meterless, if you land it, you can just go into half circle back kick, his run grab, which is good. You can also go into his heavy Rekka, or his light Rekka. But his heavy Rekka does more damage, and mid-screen you'll want to go for the higher damage, in my opinion, because his light Rekka doesn't have hard knockdown mid-screen with the kick follow-up, so yeah. The run grab, it doesn't have a lot of damage in this context, but it gives you pretty decent pokey because you can do that after, which is nice. For a little bit of meter though, what you really want to go for is the EX red kick, which is a weird input. It's like a reverse DP, but you have to hit the back input after the reverse DP. So you have to do back, down, back, back, which is really annoying, honestly. I'm used to doing it with just reverse DP, and sometimes I'll like screw it up because, like, see, I'm not getting it because I'm not finishing the motion because they made it weird in this game, but that's alright. If you're able to get it, you can do some cool stuff. You can do some cool juggles with it. which is really nice because it like ground bounces. So yeah, that's his far C. It's an interesting tool to say the least. His far D is faster than his far C at frame 8 instead of frame 10. And it has pretty good range. And it also has, on certain frames, it removes his lower hurt box. So you can beat lows with it, which is really nice. And it hits crouchers, which is really nice. Oh, but the unfortunate thing is it's not cancelable. Obviously, you can max cancel it, which is nice. So if you hit someone with it, you can max cancel it if you have the bar, and go for a combo, which is probably what you want to do with it. But if not, it's just a pretty good poke that does 90 damage, which is actually quite a bit for a far poke. But it is a little more committal than his far B, but it gives you a lot more damage. So, yeah. But they have the same role pretty much. It's just whether or not you want something less committal with less damage or more committal with more damage. Crouching normals, his crouch A is pretty standard. Or I guess close normals I should go over first. His close A is a standard close A. All close A's in this game are pretty much the same. It's fast at frame 4, I believe, and it's plus a lot, so you can technically link out of it if you want to. Which is nice. And on block, obviously, since it's plus, you can use it for pressure purposes. And it's sort of the same story with his crouch A, but his crouch A is a little less plus, so. But you don't run the risk of getting like far A, for example, where if you're like in a certain range, you'll generally get close A when you want to, but if you're not sure and they're crouching, you might get far A, which would suck. So you can use crouch A for consistency's sake. His close B is interesting. It's a low, and it's pretty fast. And it's actually cancelable into specials, or even command normals, which is really cool. One little neat trick you can do in this patch is, so his crouch B is a 5-frame low, which is really nice. But what you can actually do is an OS, which I don't personally think this is that useful, because you could just reaction confirm, but if you don't really feel like it, if you do crouch B, stand B, if you do it, let's see, let's set the guard. If you just do it, if it hits, you can cancel into his command normals, because you get the close B, but if it's blocked, you get far B, so it doesn't cancel, which is kind of interesting. Next is close C. Now close C this is the normal you want to be using a lot. This is what really makes Kyo Kyo, largely, at least in terms of normals, because it's frame 4, which is really fast, and you might notice it's like this uppercut move, so it's a really good anti-air too. But on top of that, obviously being a close C, you can OS it with throw by doing forward or backwards and C. So it's really good to run up and just, like, you can run up and then press back and then press C, and what'll eventually, you either throw them if they're vulnerable, or if you're not in range to throw, or they do something, or they hop or something, you'll close C them, and if they jump, they'll be anti-aired. But yeah, it's just a really good close normal. It's the close normal that makes Kyo Kyo, in my opinion. It's a great combo tool because you can do it from pretty much any jump in, it'll combo, because it's only frame 4, so any sort of jump in you'll be able to combo into it. And it's cancelable into command normals, or specials, or anything you really want. Next is close D, which is interesting. It's slower than close C at frame 6, I believe. Close C is frame 4. Close D is frame 6. It does 10 more damage, but in my opinion, it's not nearly as useful. It being 2 frames slower might not sound like a lot, but it actually makes it a lot harder to get in combos, especially after cross-ups. Like, see, that doesn't work, but in the same context, close C works. The other thing about it is that it gives way more pushback. You can see. It's a little hard to see here, but in combos it sometimes matters. In any case, if you want to go for max damage, like if they whiff a DP or something, or you block a DP, or they're super punishable, close D is ideal because it does 10 more damage. But if you're just doing it as a combo tool and you land a jump in, I personally would always go for close C instead of close D. Onto his crouching normals, crouch A is pretty standard. Again, that's just a standard normal. It's plus on block, which is nice, but it's not as plus as like close A. But it is good for consistency because again you can't crouch it. Close B I already talked about a little bit. It's a low, it's frame 5. It's really good because it opens up his low game, which is really threatening. But unfortunately it's not cancelable itself. You can't actually special cancel it. You can see. What you have to do is you have to do like crouch B, and then you have to chain it into crouch A to cancel it. So that's primarily what I use crouch A for, is I do like crouch B, crouch A, or you could even do crouch B, crouch A, like that, or anything like that. Crouch C is a anti-air uppercut, which is good. It's good, especially in this game, because since his new far C is no longer an anti-air far C, it's a little riskier with Kyo to go for close C anti-airs because you have to be in close proximity to get that. And if you get far C, you're just going to eat a jump in and die. So crouch C is really good, consistent anti-air, as you can see. But yeah, in combos, don't use it over close C. Close C is better. But as an anti-air, this is pretty good. His crouch D is pretty nice for a sweep. It's a super fast sweep. What frame is it actually? Let me think about that. Actually, let me look it up. His crouch D is frame 7, which is pretty nice. It's -8 on block, but it's cancelable, so you can like cancel it to Rekka to make it safe. But what else is nice is you can whiff cancel it. So you can do stuff like that, which is kind of nice. Or if you whiff this and you see your opponent hop in the startup of this, you can, if you're really fast, you can DP them. Which is a little tricky to do, but you know. Overall, it's a pretty good sweep. It's really nice because you can cancel it, I guess. That's what I'm saying. So now he has 2 command normals, which are his forward B, which is this standard overhead kick. When done alone, it's an overhead, but it's pretty slow. It's not cancelable except for, well, it's not special cancelable, but you can cancel it into supers like that, which is a raw commitment, because I don't believe you're able to react and hit confirm it like that. But you can, of course, max mode cancel it, so you can convert off of it in that way too. But you can also use it as a combo tool if you do any heavy attack that any like heavy attack that's command normal cancelable, you can combo into forward B like so. And when you do that, it loses its overhead property, unfortunately, like all command overheads in KOF, but it becomes way faster and it allows it to combo, as you can see. So you can do stuff like into heavy Rekka, for example. You can also do stuff where you frame trap it, because you can frame trap it with light attacks. Like if you notice they're blocking your light attacks, you can frame trap into it by canceling your light attacks into it. So let's see. Oh, that was bad. Like that. It leaves a bit of a gap because it's a little bit slow, even when canceled into, allowing you to frame trap them. Yeah. His next command normal is this sort of slide kick, and it's really interesting. So it has long range, but you can see it's pretty minus, and it doesn't knock down, which kind of sucks. But the first hit is cancelable, and it retains the same properties when done straight up or when done in a cancel, like so. And so this typically you don't see it have a ton of neutral use, but you could use it as a low, I guess, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I'd recommend using his sweep instead, even if it. But it's a really nice combo tool because it's unlike the forward B that doesn't combo after lights when canceled into, the down forward C, or down forward D rather, actually does combo after lights, which is really, really nice. And this is extraordinarily nice because not only does it combo after light attacks, it gives you heavy hit stun instead of light hit stun. So it makes your light confirms into effectively able to convert into anything that he would normally be able to get after heavy. So for example, you can't do light into his heavy Rekka. As you can see, that just gets blocked, right? It doesn't combo. But you can do a light into down forward D and cancel that. Whoops. You can cancel that into the Rekka, which is really, really nice. This is extraordinarily important because it really opens up his low game, because his low confirm is obviously a light. And it allows you to get a lot more out of his lights, which is really nice. What else? Oh, last ground normal is his stand CD. His stand CD is actually pretty good. For one thing, he moves forward a lot. It's frame 16, which is a little slow, but he moves forward quite a lot with the shoulder tackle. But not only that, it's only like -2 on block. I think at closest it's only -2. Might be minus, yeah. But if you do it like from a little further, you can actually make it plus, which is like really good. But on top of that, the real nice thing about it is you can actually reaction confirm from it. Let's see if I put it on random guard. Oh, no, okay, that was bad. Like that. So what you can do basically is stand CD, and then when you see it hit, you can cancel or just do as fast as possible his half circle back B to make him run forward. And then once that stops, you go for either, if you want to be super consistent, you can just go for like light DP. You can just buffer that because that's fast. Or if you have EX, you can go for EX up kicks, which is really nice. So yeah, sort of tied to his stand CD is his Shadow Strike, which is frame 15. And it's really good for a Shadow Strike because it has that CD animation that he has, so it's super far range. As you can see, it connects from like way out here. And because he has a juggling tool like that, you can do quite a lot with it, which is really nice. Okay, now on to air normals. So jump A, I wouldn't ever use this. I've never used this, like, ever. I think in this patch they technically made it his fastest air-to-air, because I think it's frame 4 now. But I still wouldn't recommend it. I think it does shrink his lower hurt box, so it might allow you to go over certain projectiles a little easier, but even then I don't think it's very worth it. Next is his jump B. Now this is a really amazing air normal. First of all, it's a really good jump in. I don't know the hitboxes in this game so much because I don't think I've seen them, but in a lot of older games, its hitbox is absurd and it out-prioritizes a lot of like normal anti-airs. But in any case, it's just a really good solid jump in. You can see it's like really plus even if you do it just like that. And you can combo from it whenever you land it. It's just really nice. It consistently will hit crouchers too. Like so. Well, not when you do that, but you know, as you can see here, right? And it's probably his best jump in. But on top of that, it's also a really good cross-up. Let's see. As you can see here. And you can see it's plus enough to link after, so you can do stuff like that. Which is really nice. That's his cross-up that you should be going for. His jump C is okay. In my opinion, this is his air-to-air button because it does more damage than his jump A. And it has a pretty good horizontal range. And I find myself, if I'm doing an air-to-air with Kyo, this is usually what I'll try to do. His jump, but other than that, you can use it as a heavy jump in, and it's okay for that. I personally wouldn't recommend it over his jump B, because his jump B hits a little lower and is a little more consistent against anti-air attempts. But his jump C is still reasonably good, and it does more damage than his jump B, so yeah. His jump B, though, just really is the best jump-in that he has, and really one of the best jump-ins arguably in the game, so yeah, use his jump B as jump-in. His jump D is... it's a little slower at frame 8 than like his jump C, which is why I don't find myself personally using it as a reaction air-to-air much, but you could if you're fast. But you could use it just more as like a neutral poke. What I find myself using it for is I'll in neutral, if I think they're gonna approach me with like a hop or something, I'll just hop and press D. And this just controls the space in front of him really well from approaches. So it allows him to play a little bit more defensive if you want to play defensive. Let's see. His jump blowback, his jump CD is pretty good. It's this shoulder bash thing, which is similar to a stand CD. I think it's frame 12, which is a little slow, but as all jump CDs, it's majorly plus. So it allows him to get good pressure. It's pretty much just a pressure jump CD though, because it's not really a great air-to-air or anything. But as a jump in, it's pretty good. What else? Okay, so that's his air normals. Oh, well, going over his air normals, there is one last thing I need to mention, which is his hidden, or not hidden, but another command normal that I forgot to mention because it's an air command normal. This is his jump down C. And I personally think in this game it's not very good. I don't think it's very good. It's frame 12, which is really slow. And on top of that, its hitbox doesn't feel as... it just doesn't feel as generous as his jump B in a lot of ways. And I find, personally, because of its slower startup and far less active period, that I get beat out of my jump-in attempts if I do this over doing his jump B. I think his jump B is a lot better. The one upside of his down C is that on Air Connect, it is hard knockdown, which I guess is nice, but you're not gonna ever air-to-air with it because it's frame 12, and it doesn't have a very generous horizontal hitbox, so yeah, I don't think it's very good. It used to be a really good cross-up in older games, but unfortunately in this game, it's a lot harder to cross up with it than it looks like. There, I got it, but see, like... Okay, well now I'm getting it, but like, it's just finicky, versus his jump B is a little bit easier to hit, I find, as a cross-up. But your mileage may vary. The best thing to do with it, though, is you can use it in a backdash. So you can backdash down C, and that puts a hitbox out while you're backdashing, which is kind of nice. But yeah, that's pretty much all I personally use it for. And on block, it's not even that good, as you can see. If you land it super low, it's better, but honestly, I'd stick with jump B because you can see the advantage off that versus... Right? So yeah, on to specials. So first of all, his arguably his most important special is his Rekka. So his Rekka is really interesting because it's not just like a standard 1-2-3 Rekka. You have different options out of it. But before we get to that, just his like standalone light Rekka is a pretty decent poke. It has a pretty good hitbox, and on top of that, on frame 5 and 6, I believe, it has upper body armor. So you could use it to counter poke, and just use it just generally to poke and harass opponents with. But on top of this, his second Rekka, which he, again, this is just quarter circle forward A, and his second one is, if you follow it up with another quarter circle forward A, you get this uppercut, and this uppercut you can use if if you see someone hop while you're doing the first Rekka. And this follow-up is just his normal combo route, so if you get the light Rekka, you typically just go into the second quarter circle forward light punch. And then after that one, you've got two different follow-ups that you can do, which are with punch, but you see that doesn't work mid-screen, and kick, which works anywhere on the screen. The punch follow-up is better while you have your opponent cornered because it creates hard knockdown, as you can see. But it just straight up won't connect mid-screen, so only use it in the corner. Now he's got two other follow-ups from his first Rekka. If you do the first Rekka and then you do half circle back punch, you get an overhead, which is very unsafe, but it is an overhead, so it forces your opponent to block high, which is nice. But it is a little bit slow. After the overhead, though, if you actually land the overhead, you can follow up with another punch, and you get an OTG. And the overhead is a hard knockdown, because it's essentially the last part of his normal Rekka chain, or the normal punch Rekka follow-up. But you can do it earlier as the second part. But you can see it doesn't combo from the normal Rekka under normal, standing circumstances. But it is a decent mix-up because he also happens to have a low Rekka follow-up. After the first one, if you do half circle back and kick, you get a low follow-up. So you can essentially mix up with high and low, but both are incredibly risky, so don't always do either one of these second follow-ups. But after the overhead one, you can either go for punch follow-up like that, or you can go for this OTG grab follow-up. The punch follow-up gives you a lot better Oki situation, but it does less damage. So yeah, you can just choose between the two. For his kick low, if you press kick again, you get a sort of uppercut follow-up. Whoops, that wasn't it. Like that. And as you can see, it starts a juggle situation. So after that, you can juggle stuff. Unfortunately, it's very finicky mid-screen, and generally, there you might get it, but if you're a little bit spaced out, you might not get it like that, yeah, as you can see. So mid-screen, if you get the low, I would recommend pressing punch instead, and you get a hard knockdown slam. Now, despite what it looks like, this overhead slam is not an overhead. You can block it crouching. But it gives you hard knockdown, which is nice. So yeah, that's his Rekkas. The TLDR of his Rekkas is use the first one to poke, mid-screen, or in the corner, just use the second follow-up, and then press kick mid-screen or punch in the corner. And then if you feel spicy and you want to mix your opponent up, go for the overhead if they block the first Rekka, or the low if they're both unsafe, so don't do it always. And yeah. Now his heavy Rekka has longer startup, but it has way more range, as you can see there. But it's a little bit more unsafe, but it's still not that unsafe, so you can still do it reasonably in Rekka or in neutral, and if your opponent blocks it, they probably won't punish you. It's -7, so with the amount of pushback, you can use it and you'll generally be safe, I feel like. But again, don't do it a ton if your opponent does consistently punish you for it. This Rekka is a lot simpler. It only has one chain of follow-ups, which is quarter circle forward, C is the first one, and then half circle back, punch, and then forward, and then DP punch. So the first one's quarter circle forward punch, the second one's half circle back punch, and then forward, and then punch, and then DP and punch. And you get that, and it's pretty high damage for what it's worth. Unfortunately, it doesn't give you hard knockdown, which is a little unfortunate, but it does a lot of damage, so you can use it in stuff like that, and you can chase them down. It gives you enough OP so you're able to chase them down if they roll, or if they roll recover. Let's see, like that. And it's, I believe it is, and after, in certain combo routes, it generally is his highest damage ender, which I'll get to in a little bit. But it also has, on top of having more range and more startup, that basically means you can only combo it from heavy attacks. But again, since again you have the down forward C, or down forward D, you can combo it from lights if you just do that first. It has more armor than the Light Punch Rekka, too, so it'll beat more things out in neutral. Even more so, though, the EX version is essentially the heavy version. It has the same startup, but it has more armor, and it's a lot safer. It's only -2, so you can throw this out in neutral, and you can't get punished for it, because it has some amount of pushback, so they can't even grab you, as you can see. And the EX version will work, but it is just the heavy version, but a little better. Let's see. Next up, he has a DP, which is a pretty standard DP. The light version is not fully invincible, but it has invincibility against air attacks, so you can use that as a fast anti-air because it's active frame 4. His heavy version is a true invincible reversal, and it's frame 7. And it's invincible frame 1 to 10, so it's pretty invincible. So obviously use it with caution because it's a DP. His EX version basically combines the best of both of them, where it's frame 4, but it's fully invincible. But it costs half a bar. So yeah, that's it for his DP pretty much. None of them work very well against cross-ups though, so be very careful about that. You don't want to DP a really deep cross-up. Next up is his little run grab thing, which is a hit grab. See, it's a hit grab, which you can combo into from any heavy attacks or his down forward D. And you can use it in juggles. It works properly in juggles, like if you get them in the air. Let's see. You can juggle it, and it's pretty nice. It does a fair amount of damage, and it gives hard knockdown, and it allows you to chase down your opponent. But it doesn't give him his best Oki situation, but it's pretty good. His EX version is actually a true command grab, though. And it's actually really strong. It's 170 damage, which is really nice, and it's frame 3. So I like using it after, like, if they block something, if they block, like, a crouch A or something. You can run up and command throw them, yeah. And again, just like the normal version, it gives pretty good Oki, and you can chase them down. Oh, he's got one more special, that's right. Or two more. So the first is quarter circle forward kick, and then you press kick again to do the second part. So if you just do the first one, you just get that. But you never want to just stop at the first one. You always just want to follow it up. There's no reason to do just the first one, really. So always do both kicks. The light version honestly sucks. I don't think, well, at least as a grounded option. If you're doing a combo that starts on the ground and you're comboing into up kicks, always use the heavy version because both of them don't connect after light attacks. As you can see there, I canceled it from crouch A. But both of them will combo from heavy attacks, which is nice. The B version is a little bit faster, but it's not fast enough again to combo from light attacks. But it has one use, which I'll get to in a little bit. But if you get a ground and confirm, you typically want to go into his D up kicks, and that leaves you with a really good juggle situation, and you've got a couple options from it. I guess first I should go for this, which is his reverse DP kick, but again you have to do back and then quarter circle back kick, and you get this little like hop kick thing. It's barely minus on block, and it's really safe. generally. But I wouldn't personally recommend doing that on block. I'd rather just do rec on block, but you know, you can do that. But what's the best thing about it is that it's hard knockdown, and it gives you a ton of time to set up whatever you want. So typically, a thing you can do is if you confirm into his up kicks, you can go into the light version of the red kick, like so, and you get all the time in the world to run up and go for either like a normal jump in, or a cross up, or really whatever you want. Like so, you can do cross ups, or just normal jump ins, or whatever. It's really strong. But, well, I shouldn't say it's really strong for getting OP, but it's one of his worst damage routes from his up kicks. For example, from his up kicks, his damage optimal 0 bar is the heavy Rekka chain, which you have to actually lift the second part. So you just want to do, after his up kicks, if you want to do the max damage, meterless, do the heavy Rekka, just do the first one, and then do the second one, but the second one won't hit. So as soon as you input the second one, go for the third and fourth follow-ups. You can see from close C, it does 273, whereas the flip kick is only 206, which is quite a bit less damage. But it gives you such a good Oki situation after that I think it's generally worth going for. But again, it sort of depends on how much life your opponent has or how confident you are in them not blocking cross-ups and things like that. So just keep that in mind. His other option from up kicks is the run grab, which is sort of an in-between. It does less damage than the Rekka, but it gives you with a better, it leaves you with a better Oki situation, but it doesn't leave you with so much that you could get a cross-up, so keep that in mind. But yeah, the other thing about this, the heavy flip kick is just, you don't really want to use it pretty much ever. It's very safe, but it's really slow and reactable, and you can just get hit out of it, so just generally don't use it. The EX version, though, is very good. The EX version you can combo after any heavies, and it causes a ground bounce. That's not it. Why am I getting that? As you can see, it causes a ground bounce, which allows you to juggle a lot of different things. Generally what I do is light up kicks, because light up kicks is fast enough to combo. And then you can go into other stuff like Rekka, right? Generally speaking, if you have only half a bar, or you only want to spend half a bar, and you started with a heavy attack for your combo, or anything that goes into, you know, down forward D, you want to use this as your EX move, because it causes a wall bounce, allowing you to get pretty good damage. So, for example, after a light, it allows him to get, let's see. It allows you to get 314 damage for half a bar, which is pretty nice. And from a jump in, that's not it. You can get pretty good damage. If you have more EX bar to burn, you can do his EX flip kick into EX up kicks, which I screwed up. And then do other stuff after. But yeah, his supers are both basically combo supers. Because you can cancel DP into your super, you generally don't want to just do standing or like alone supers as reversals. His first super doesn't have full startup invincibility, at least like the normal version doesn't. But it's a generally really good combo under. You can charge it for more damage, Obviously you won't be charging it in neutral, but during certain juggle combos you can charge it a little bit. Not there, but let's see. You can charge it a little bit there to get a little more damage, which is really nice. But yeah, generally it doesn't have any utility outside of combos. Only use it for really combos. His other super is a reversal, but again, since it has the super flash, if you need to reversal something, I would recommend just doing DP canceled to super if you really want to spend the extra bar, but yeah. Both are good combo enders. And depending on situation, you might want to go for one or the other. His climax is also really interesting. His climax is a projectile, so it allows you to... It travels really fast, so you can punish like fireballs with it if you really want to, or you can just use it in combos, but unfortunately, as you can see there, it only does 440 damage. Most climaxes in this game do 450. So it's a little unfortunate that he kind of got shafted and it does less damage than other climaxes, but, you know, what can you do? It's also a reversal, but again, you don't want to use it as a reversal, because it's 3 whole bars, so, you know. So anyway, to sum up, sort of his normal game plan is, generally he wants to get in, but against certain other characters, if he wants to, for example, if you're low on time and you want to play a little more defensively, he has pretty decent options for checking the opponent's approach with his far A, far B, crouch C, and his DP, and his hop D. So you can keep the opponent out like pretty effectively if you have a lead. But generally, you want to get in and run your pressure, and you can run your pressure by doing hop B or hop CD because it's super plus. And once you get them blocking, you can go for his normal throw, and you can OS it again with close C, which is really nice. So if they're just not throwable, like you mistimed it a little bit, you'll just get close C, which is perfectly fine anyway, and you can cancel that into stuff. Or you can go for, you know, his EX command throw, which is really nice. And once you have them blocking stuff, again, you can just keep piling on the pressure with hop B for an overhead, or just like this grounded overhead into max mode, or his really threatening lows. Or if you've got them blocking and you're already you've already pressed close C, you can go for his mix-ups with the Rekka, with the low mix-up, or the high one. But notice that the high one doesn't have that much range, so be a little aware of that it won't even connect if you do it from too far. But it will if you just do it from like close C Rekka, as you can see there. His cross-up game is deadly with his jump B. He has one of the best normal cross-ups in the game. So practice crossing up your opponent, and especially practice the cross-up setup from the flip kick, because that's really useful. Or just practice it from like hop CD. Oh, I'm screwing it up now. Like that. Yeah. So that's generally his game plan. Now, as for damage, he actually has pretty decent damage. It's not the highest in the game, but it's definitely not the lowest. It's, I guess it's like average-ish, or maybe a little higher, depending on. He's got some really nasty corner loops with his super. If you're able to land a hit in the corner, you can do stuff like this. which is really good. On top of that, like I said before, his EX flip kick is really great for damage extension. And yeah, he just has a lot of interesting things he can go for. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you ever need specific combo help or whatever, just shoot me a message or whatever. Yeah. So I think that wraps it up. Any questions, I guess?
First of all, that was pretty dope.
Well, thanks. Yeah. I hope you learned something about Kyo.
I definitely learned a lot of things. The guy has like fast normals, but requires like an actual commitment to the rush.
Yeah. So he's not. That's the thing. Like, while he can play a mid-range game, he doesn't have a super threatening mid-range game without like max mode cancel, right? Which is a little unfortunate, but he still can poke mid-range, which is nice, and he has a Rekka that is a pretty good poke, so, you know. But he definitely generally wants to get in, which is really... Yeah, which, I mean, that makes sense, I guess.
I consider him to be a little more technical than like beginner characters.
Yeah. The thing is, I wouldn't necessarily consider him super technical, at least if you don't, like... There are a lot of things that he can do that are kind of technical, like, for example, if you want to go for max corner damage, it's actually kind of hard, because after this up kick, right, you can go for a juggle route that you have to hit the Rekka right here, and then do DP. But the problem is, look, if I do the Rekka instantly, it doesn't work. You have to manually delay it so that it hits, like, the last couple frames of the Rekka.
Yeah.
And then once you land that, though, you go for a DP super, and you get another DP in the super. Another little added thing about his corner damage is... see, and there I just screwed up the DP. But another interesting note about his combo damage in the corner is, after his super, you can actually go for, most of the time, if you have enough time, you can go for his OTG, his Rekka OTG, because you know how I was saying there's this overhead, and then after the overhead, there's this like OTG grab thing. What's really interesting is that it's not just like an OTG after specifically this, it's just an OTG in general. So you can actually get more damage after his super. Like that. Which is kind of neat. You have to do it a little bit fast, and if you button hold it, it's not that bad, but you basically just, the second you see the animation for super is over, you do the Rekka, and then you do the half circle back, and then you do the half circle back punch, and then the half circle back kick as fast as possible. And you'll generally get it. But yeah. He has a lot of interesting routes because, again, since you've got so many different options as to how to end your combo, you can either go for damage or Oki or kind of both, but you have to pick and choose, really, because his best Oki option is kind of not great damage, I'll be honest, because his normal, like, light flip kick... I'm so bad at that input right now. It's not even funny. His normal flip kick, as you can see, that's only 206 off of standing heavy, which is not amazing, I'll be honest. But it gives you so much time. It gives you so much time to just, like, do whatever you want. I think it's generally worth it. But if you want pure damage, you can go for something like that. But they can roll it, which you can still chase them down, but if they don't roll it, again, it's a different timing, so yeah. But the run grab gives you a bit of both, where it doesn't allow you to get a cross-up mix-up, but it does allow you to get immediate pressure after, which is nice. Actually, why am I doing jump B there? I shouldn't do that. What you should do probably is jump CD to get them in really big damage after the grab. So yeah. What else is there? But yeah. Again, the EX in question that you want to use always is sort of standard EX in combos is the flip kick. You just want to combo anything that gives you heavy hit stun, including the down forward or down forward D into that, and then combo into that into whatever you want. But the problem is, it's not that hard. I just suck at it, to be honest. But it is a little bit tricky. Is the actual input of it doing like down forward D into that? Because you have to do down forward D and then you have to do back quarter circle back, like really fast. But you know, if you practice enough, it's not that bad, I guess. Yeah. So I guess that's pretty much it. Let's see, is there any other things that I need to cover with Kyo? I think that's about it. I guess the one thing is like a good max combo. Oh, that didn't work. That's generally what you want to do if you're an anchor character with max mode, because you have enough time to do all that and still get that for 3 bars. But if you're not a point character and you only have like, let's see, or not an anchor. What am I saying? Not an anchor. If you only if you're a point character, for example, and you get a max hit, you generally want to. You can just go for the. Oh wait, no. If you're a point, you can't even do that. But you go for 1 EX, and then you do something into a super like that. I don't know if that's optimal, but yeah, you just want to go for like 1 EX and then a super. But yeah, let's see. Wait, not that. Yeah. But yeah, the thing is, this move's actually pretty good at neutral, I feel like, but it is half a bar. So I guess that is his like strong mid-range sort of threat that he can just bully his way in with that. But it is half a bar. But yeah, I guess that's about it. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. Alright, see you later, man.
Should I? Okay.